And we are back. Hello, hello. How are you doing, man?
I'm very good. Happy New Year, everyone, for the Chinese New Year. I think is it the firing horse or something like that? It's the fiery horse. I can't remember what it is, but I have my hat, my special hat from the AWS user group in China for the marathon last year. So to celebrate Chinese New Year, I thought I'd wear this special hat. But yeah, all good,
That's a
all good.
cute
So how
one.
about you? How are you?
Well, I got the beautiful flu now, but as everyone knows, nothing can stop us. We are continuing.
Exactly. We are
Yeah,
forging ahead.
yeah, exactly. We will make this. We will make this app, and it will be beautiful.
Yeah.
But
So let's bring everyone to speed where we are. I think this is the seventh or eighth episode. I can't remember.
yeah,
But
I
Sally and
forgot to write the
myself,
name of it. Yeah, it's the
yeah,
eighth episode.
it's the eighth episode, right? So Sally and myself, we are taking you on a full stack for noobs journey. Me being the full stack noob, and we are building a application. We're building a game that we hope to feature at AWS booths around the world. So if you do go to an event and there's an AWS booth, hopefully you will see this thing that we're building there, and you'll be able to interact with it. And so effectively, it's a quiz. And last year we had a very successful activity called the Amazon Q Coding Challenge, which pitted you against a series of questions, coding questions. It was timed. We had a leaderboard, and people won swag and prizes. Okay, it was really good. People loved it, but we got lots of feedback. Okay, on how to make it better. Right. So of course, Sally, what do? We're customer obsessed. We work
Yeah.
backwards from all that feedback, and this is the journey we're on to build the Kiro challenge quest, or quest challenge, whatever you want to call it. And the first 7 episodes have been building. So I'm just going to basically put this up. We've been building this effectively. We're building this application. We've focused initially on just the front end. So I think the front end is now done. It's a beautiful thing. And so today, what we're going to do is we're actually going to sort of pretty much kind of start on the back end. And I don't need the code for that. So we're going to basically start with building or looking at the data model. And then we're going to use that and sort of like start Kira up and start getting Kira to help us build the data model. And from that, we'll start using Kiro to bootstrap the kind of the back end. So generate the APIs we're going to need for our game. Right? Does that sound good?
Yeah, I'm really curious about your decisions on how to build the backend, like which services to use or which even technologies to use, because I know you're a Python fan as well. So is it going to have a
Well,
lot
so
of
yeah, so
Python
let's
in it?
actually this is a very this is a good yeah. So actually I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen actually. And I'm going to just like what you did and shared your initial prompt. Okay, I'm going to actually
Yeah,
share my Kiro setup. Okay, so let's hopefully we can see that. Right. So
yeah,
like yourself, I have my own steering file. Okay, so
yeah,
you can access it through here, but I'm accessing it through the file system. So
yeah,
mine is slightly different to yours. So yes, it's Python.
yeah,
And there are lots of different ways. Okay, we could build a backend API. For example, we could, if we wanted to, sort of create AWS use API gateway and Lambda functions to build this in a serverless way, right? And that's one approach. The way I like to do it initially, anyway, because we're vibe coding this, is to build it out using Flask to create effectively a very simple kind of instruction of how to do it. Right now, Flask isn't necessarily the only framework or the best framework for doing this, but why I like it for these kind of situations, especially when we're doing it live, is it's kind of like easy to understand what it's doing. So from a explainability perspective, Flask really works well. So that's the first thing, and obviously because we're doing a live stream, I wanted to make it easy to follow along. If I was doing this, otherwise I might use Fast API, which is like kind of the hot Python framework for doing this kind of stuff. I use Pydantic for
yeah,
data validation because we're going to be working with data. One of the things about Pydantic that's really good is it has all its internal validators. It has a whole bunch of base ones, but you can add your own as well. And I think for the kind of application we're building, we'll probably be able to use just some of the base ones. And then I want to keep the data, any state managed in an ORM. Okay, so we can then basically map that to whatever database we want to use. So basically using Alchemy helps us do that, right? So that's kind of that's the kind of structure basically I like to do.
What is the data validation here? What do we mean when we say data validation? Do we mean the data type validation when we
So
read
you're a
the
TypeScript
data?
guy, right? So the equivalent
Yeah.
is Zod, okay? Zod on Node and TypeScript, right?
Yeah.
So basically, imagine you're working with a field like email, okay, or a URL, okay? Those are well understood fields, right?
Yeah.
And normally you might have to do a ton of code to make sure that those were valid data types, right? What Pydantic does is it allows you to do that automatically. So you define, for example, a email type, and it will make sure that the data type is email, right? And so it saves you from a whole bunch of code that you would otherwise have to do, right? So it's very cool, and there are equivalents in other languages. I think Zod is the one that I'm familiar with in TypeScript. Is that are you familiar with Zod?
Yeah. I was going to say that. Yeah, it's basically like Zod then. Okay.
Yeah, but Pydantic is better.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, use whichever tool that works for you, right? But as long as it's doing the right thing.
This is our platform. Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
Opinions are our own, so we
have
can
our own
share
opinions,
it freely.
right?
Yeah,
we have our own opinions. So and then from a structure, I always like to provide a sort of a standard layout for my projects. And again, this isn't necessarily the best way of doing it, but this kind of works really well for Flask applications to separate all the different components out into different directories. And then finally, some kind of like things around package management. So I've recently switched from pip to UV, which is really cool. Makes handling all the dependencies and running code much simpler. I also have something around local and dev prod because I have a Mac and my port 5000 is always blocked. So I kind of change. I try and get a key row or the code generation to factor this in, right? Then if I mean I'm not sure we actually generate tests, right? But one of the things that I like to do is actually test directly against interfaces rather than mocking, which is that's my preference. Actually, the other one I haven't got on here, which normally I have, is never alter production code when running tests. That's another thing I normally have. And then I copied this one from you, Sally. This is from your this is from your so again, the key thing here, okay, is that I'm always looking to change and improve the standards. And this is only a few lines, right? I tend to use this to bootstrap any Python project I'm working on. And what it does, it gives me consistent output. Every single project I do is always the same. So from a readability perspective and a review perspective, it makes it so easy because I know where to go. I know how to debug. I know how to figure out what's doing what, that kind of thing.
Before we move forward, I want to ask you about the testing and PyTesting.
Yes.
So we have the classic testing pyramid, right? We talk about integration test, instrumented test, and unit test. When we say never use mocking, which one do you think you're eliminating here? Like, do you think you're eliminating, for example, integration test out, or like?
Yeah, so I think you're right. So I think because I'm focusing just purely on units here rather than the integration test. If I was doing integration tests, I would remove that, right? Again, I've copied this from actually I'm going to remove that. Actually, I'm going to remove it because we are going to be integrating with things. I'm going to remove. I have other ones. So for example, normally I have a PyTest one or testing one, and I will configure it, say for example, to make sure it uses and configures fixtures in PyTest, right? Because that makes a huge difference in how reliable and robust the tests are. But what I find these days is that actually the models that tend to be so good that you don't need to do that anymore. So I'll leave that out for the moment. So yeah, so very straightforward, a very simple thing. Now, what I actually have actually done, okay, is I did create. Actually, I didn't create. So let me just put it on here. Let's have a look how I can do this. I'm gonna. Where is key right? Right, I'm going to move this image. So desktop. There we go. So I'm going to move this into this directory here. And it should come up now on the screen. So I was before the live stream, I was just basically filling around what I thought the data model might be like, okay, for this game that we're doing, right? And I'm not sure if this is everything, but this is like just the first initial sort of attempt. And I do like to start with the data model first, especially when you're doing APIs, right? Because it provides really solid steering for then code generation that follows afterwards.
All right.
So
makes sense.
effectively, so based on what we've done so far, right? And there's a reason why game is in orange, because we kind of start there, right? Effectively, when you're playing the game, you have the game there, right? There's an instance of the game in the browser, okay? And when you think about it, the instance of the game, there is an event you're at, okay? So we have an event name. So effectively, that is its own data model, which is event name. We talked about theme last time, about each event potentially having its own theme, as well as having its own welcome text, right? Now we don't necessarily need those for the game, but we do need the data elements we need to capture, okay? And so a game will have an event name. It will have a bunch of questions, right? Because the tile board, each of the tile boards has a set of, I think, 32 questions, right? So the way that I think of this is that it's a question bank, right? So you have a question bank. Each question bank has an ID, and for each question bank, you can add and remove questions, right? And every time you add and remove questions, each question is going to have this criteria, right? So we've identified the different types of question we want to capture, whether the question or the complexity of the question. Then we've got the description of the question, which is what will just be displayed. The correct answer, which is hidden. Then we've got sample input, so code sample input and code hidden input. These are only for coding questions, right? And so what we do is we'll basically display some sample input in the question, and we'll keep some hidden. And when we do evaluation of the code, we will use both to check the code, right? Now, what we saw last year was some people were very clever and think, oh, I'll hard code the code, right, to the specific info in the question, and that works fine for the evaluation when it's the sample input, but always failed with the hidden input, right? So this allows you to effectively capture those kind of people who want to shortcut the process. And then kind of like more like metadata for each question, right? So the number of times the question was, because each question we've got a pass button, a hint button, and questions are either going to be answered correctly or incorrectly, right? So we want to capture this information, because what this will allow us to do is it will allow us to get analytics about the questions. And so we can imagine running a query that says, list all questions that always get wrong or are always answered incorrectly, right? And we can then figure out, should we get rid of this question, or should we create content to help people understand this concept? That kind of thing, right?
Nice.
So effectively, so the game will have a question bank. But obviously, the game has a player as well, right? So the player, and they enter the player name, and there's a bunch of other stuff that we added, like the avatar. They choose when they're playing the game the complexity, but that's like ephemeral, because that can change every time, right? We don't need to capture that as state in the game, right? And then obviously we have the score, right? And the score is important because we have a leaderboard, right? So a game. So the way I look at this is the master object, or the top level object, is a game object. We'll have lots of instances of games. Each game will have an event name, a question bank, a player, and a score. And then at the end of the game, the leaderboard will display for this particular event all the player scores and display the top 10. And then because we had the carousel, we can basically get top scores across all events and display the event name and the player and the score, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's pretty much the data model. So what do you think? Do you think this looks okay?
Yeah. One question. There's also an essential part about the game engine, question check mechanism and so on engine that we plan to do with AI part.
Yeah.
Is it?
But
Are we going to discuss it
I don't
later
think
or
that's part
right
of the,
now?
yeah, I don't think that's part of the data model though. So I don't think
Yeah.
we have to I mean, what we've got there, okay, is in the question correct answer
Yeah.
and the code input. That's the only stuff that's relevant to the evaluation engine.
Okay. Okay.
So effectively, you know, I think what we're capturing here is we're capturing what is the state, right? That
Yeah.
we need to capture from when running a game, okay?
Yeah.
And the questions are stateful because we need to be able to recall them, right, and play and display them.
Yeah.
The evaluation is ephemeral because it happens every time a player plays a game, right? All we want to capture is the number of times it was incorrect or correct, right?
Yeah.
The actual execution of that is somewhere else. That makes sense?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 100% makes sense.
Did you have a different thought or different approach?
I mean, my only question was about the times that the question was wrong or right, or like these analytics data. And right now it seems like we are going to keep this information as a bunch and not as a per person information.
No,
So
it's
yeah.
actually it's okay. So okay, that's a good question actually. So what is the
I'm a
event?
good noob too, man. I'm a good noob, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So effectively, when the game engine, so when we run a game, top here, and we effectively the game engine will select a subset of questions from the question bank, right? So the question bank. So I guess there's the question. So I guess there's probably another thing here, which is which questions were. It's not just question bank, right? It's questions.
Yeah.
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
So rather than question bank, it's actually which questions were given in any game, and then that way we know the state for every single question. Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. So maybe what we then need to do is, how would we do this? I mean, there are different ways we can spin it, but I think probably the easiest way is just changing, because we have to have the question back, because that's how we know which questions to select. Although actually what we could say is the event we could define the question bank. Although actually, because the thing is though, every player decides. I don't know. I mean, I think. No, I think.
I mean,
Actually,
I like
right.
your reasoning about keeping the total number and according to the percentage of the correct or false answers, like reiterating the question makes 100% sense. For me, I was also thinking, should we also change or lower the number of related questions as well? Maybe we can think about this the next step too. Like,
no, but I think you're right. I think actually what's missing here, what's wrong, is that the game event actually is using a subset of questions from the question bank, not the question bank, right?
yeah.
So I think I'm going to change this now. So let's stop. I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to present my stop share screen. Present. Let's share this. Okay, so this is so what we're saying, okay, is questions, sort of set of questions. So that's what we want. We want a set of questions, and then basically here, event name, we have basically select the question bank here. So effectively, we define which question bank we want. And then this will be a selection of 32 questions from the question bank. And then effectively, so the state of what the state data, okay, is the event name, a set of questions for that game, the player, and the score, right? And so that way we can go back through the data, through the state, and we can revisit at any point a particular game. We can see what questions they had, and then that we get all this metadata here. So I think that's a better way of doing it.
All right.
A good call there, Sally. So let's have a look. Data model. Okay, what else? Maybe that's that's missing on here, or is it good enough to basically start?
I think we can start off. I'm just thinking about it. I think we are good right now.
Okay, right.
I think with everything in place. Oh, wait a second. One thing is, so event question bank. Like in a question bank, do we consider like TypeScript questions as one bank and JavaScript questions as another bank? If event supports or encourages people to use multiple languages, are we able to call question banks, or how is it going to work?
So the question bank, okay, contains a set of questions. The questions, as you can see here, don't have whether it's Java or anything. So I think what would happen, we would. That's a good point, actually. So it's actually the game would need to actually have the question bank as well.
Yeah.
Because the question bank defines. Yes. Okay. So actually, it's actually not there. It's not there at all.
So the question bank actually
is in the game, and then the set of questions from within the question bank. Yes, that makes more sense. Yes.
I think we can remove the set of question from there, because the question bank already delivers this information, right? And it is a subset of it.
Yeah, but remember, we're talking but we're talking about an instance of the game object, right?
Yeah.
So it needs to be that needs to be captured, and so we need to capture. So the state will basically now, when you click on new game, it's going to basically automatically assign the event name, right? It's going to have associated with that event, we'll have a question bank. Actually, how does this work? So we're going to need an admin object, aren't we, to define for an event?
Yeah.
Let's have a think about this. So where do we configure? So in the back end, we will need to wire this up for So in the admin, we would create effectively an admin page for an event that a game would have access to. Let's have a look. I guess there's different questions. Yeah, it's a good point, actually, because if you're Java or if you're Python, they're going to be different question banks. But how do you select? So I guess the selection, okay, the question bank selection, what the logic could be that we define question banks by programming language, right? So we could have effectively 3 different question banks, right? And within those question banks, Java, Python, or TypeScript, we'd have maybe 50 questions in each of them. Actually, no, we'd have to have more than 50, wouldn't we? We'd have to have 96 questions, right? So that we could have 32 easy, 32 moderate, and 32 hard.
Yeah.
And then effectively that would be effectively how we structure it. So an instance of the game, when you click on the new game, the event name is automatically populated. The question bank is derived from which programming language you want to use. So we should basically say this is question bank.
Okay, I think this deserves this right now. Yeah.
I'm glad we're using it.
Yeah.
Let's do that. ID name there. This is the kind of I guess the dry part of this, right? But it's important we get this right now because it saves us fixing it later on. Okay, so the question bank effectively is language related.
I think the most important point is right now we have to think it through so we can be sure that when the time is right, we are doing everything and covering our bases. So I see no problem of overthinking at this stage to prevent us from making mistakes.
And again, it's not even if we didn't do this right, it would be okay because we can change it because we're just doing vibing at the moment, right? But this does make a difference, okay, from the point of view of the quality of the code that actually gets generated. So I think there is that to factor in as well. Right, okay, so let's I'm just basically putting this into assets data model. So okay, get rid of that. Okay, so I think let's do we think there's anything else that we need to?
I think we are good. I think we can slowly kick things off. Let's kick things off.
Let's kickstart things then. So stop screen, present, share screen, window, and Kiro. Okay, so we can see that I've just uploaded the
By the way, I will just remove myself from camera for a moment. I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
I need to take care of something fluid.
No worries. No worries. Okay. So what I'm going to do, okay, is I'm going to use a feature that you can do with Kiro to actually get it to build the sample data model, okay, from this image. And I did actually kind of have the prompt earlier on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy that into a new session, and I'm going to add image, and I've got the image that you can see on the screen. So as you can see, I just used the image icon. Now I'm using Opus. Sally, as you've corrupted me, but I'm going to change back to auto, and I'm going to add some text, and I'm going to say, can you generate a data model from this diagram? Create the data model.md file to document this. It will be used to bootstrap a backend API for a React front end. Okay, so we're going to hit return on that. The first thing Kiro is going to do, as you can see, is going to use my project standards, so my steering file, which is good because it has some aspects already here to do with data, specifically the Pydantic for data validation. So it's going to basically use that as it's actually creating the data model document. You can see that it's actually created the document here, although it's still working on it. Okay, so data model documentation. So entity game, it's already got some attributes.
This is close to spec-driven development somehow, right? It is not what Kiro does, but I think it's close to.
Yeah, exactly.
From the logic perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And this is basically now. What I'm thinking, Sally, is I'm trying to convert that image, that diagram, into scaffolding that we can use in a prompt to actually generate the actual APIs.
Yeah.
Okay. So effectively, we've got game, event, player, question bank, question, leaderboard. So game, the main game entity manages events and question banks. So we've got ID, which is a unique name of the game instance. Is it name of the game instance? I created that last timestamp. Okay, has many events, has many question banks. I don't think this has got this right. So that's maybe I should have stuck with Opus. I was just
I told you I was here. I was here. I heard everything.
So it hasn't quite got this right, okay? Because they're basically okay. So let's see
how. Was it better with Opus before when you tried before? Was it better with that one?
I don't know. I didn't get that far. I deleted it without reading it because I didn't want to spoil it. So right. Okay, let's see. Actually, let's delete the data model. And again, this is something that's actually quite cheap to do. reasonably cheap, I say. So don't be afraid to try these things if you're not happy, right? So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to just copy the prompt, start a new window. Nope. Okay. And let's see what happens this time with Opus. Because I think part of the problem is also because my diagram may not be the greatest, right? If I'd maybe spent some time making these all boxes and having the bullet points directly to each one, I think it might have done a better job, right? I think that this is part of the problem.
Maybe color coding would change it, but I don't.
And color coding. So because it did pick up the fact that that the game entity started with game, right? So it has actually picked that up, right? So okay, so let's have a look now at this one, right? So let's preview. So entities, representative quiz game event. So event ID, name, theme, custom welcome text, created at, updated at, which is actually that's reasonably well. Player, that's okay. Question bank, ID, name, created at. Yep. Okay. So typically program allows to pick that up. The question, it's picked up. Question bank, question difficulty. It's picked up all of these, which is good. And the game, a game session is that ties an event, a question bank, a set of questions, and players together. Each game draws a set of 32 questions from a question bank. Bingo. Right. Yeah. So okay. So Opus will give you this one, right?
Yeah. I will humbly accept it.
So game question, join a table linking a game to its selected set of questions, typically 32. And the game player join tracking players in a game and their scores. Also serves as the data source for the leaderboard. So game player ID, player score, join that. Let's have a look at this. So ID, game player, okay. That seems okay. And then the leaderboard is the easiest thing. It's a derived view. Okay, I think this works. This is not perfect, but it works. Okay, so we've got some scaffolding now, right?
Yeah.
Which now allows us to effectively build up on this, which effectively is the fact that we're trying to build a data model around a game and what that actually means. And this is important, obviously, because as we build our CRUD API, we're going to lean on this. Now, okay, so let's actually now close some of these prompts because we don't need those anymore. And we're going to look at the prompt. Okay. Now I've actually been working on this since the first episode, right?
Yeah.
But not actually generating any code. And as we've been creating the front end, lots of questions have kind of flowed up. So we're going to basically walk you through. As you can see, it's quite a complicated prompt, right? And actually, the data model we've changed the data model. So let's have a look at the data model.
How did you create this? Like, is it through the help of AI or is it through
No, it's not. Okay. So I created it basically just for the first episode. When we had the original idea, as we started iterating on the idea, new concepts came up that basically had to work. In parallel, though, what I did do is there were some concepts, right, that I wanted to understand in more detail. So, for example, how we would do evaluation. And so what I did is I mocked up, created effectively a very small version of the gaming engine, right, which is basically I want here's some questions. I want you to create an engine that will allow me to get someone to effectively enter something, and then you would evaluate it safely. Right. And in that process, that generated a whole bunch of more refining questions. Okay. So effectively, we're vibe coding this, but the vibe coding session itself can lead to other vibe coding sessions. Right. So
I really like the please, really being nice,
Yeah, exactly. That's data model. Okay, so that's fine. So let's go begin. So I'm creating a question engine that will be used to provide specific different types of questions to quiz game over REST APIs. Implement a backend question bank system or that will do the following. Okay,
Yeah.
so overall features, questions, question topics will be categorized as so this is we don't need this anymore, do we? Because we've got effectively we don't really have that, so that's no longer needed. In the early versions of idea, we're going to do it. So let's do that. Questions will have three will have three types.
Yeah.
Multiple choice, general knowledge, and coding. Right.
Yes.
We know that's good.
Yeah.
The question bank will provide a system UI, a simple UI that enables an admin to manage the questions. So let's just simplify this.
Yeah.
Add, edit, delete questions. The UI will provide the ability to test questions.
Yeah.
The UI will provide an example of how to call the API when questions are created. So let me just quickly show you what I mean by this. Actually, I don't need to show it. You're all familiar with some when you use some systems, like for example, if you're learning a new API, quite often what will happen is it will actually give you an example line of how to invoke that API, right?
Yeah.
You know, we've all seen the example curl, strings that do the curl posts with the payloads. So this is the same kind of idea. We want to basically make it easy, Sally, but when we're actually building the UI, we know how to basically create the API so that the front end knows what to call. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Nice.
The UI will have a configuration section which will allow us to set global settings for questions.
Yeah.
Not quite sure at the time. I just kind of thought that might be useful. Add a global configuration that allows you to set whether the correct answer is displayed when a question is submitted or is wrong. So here, right, when I was experimenting with the going down those rabbit holes, what I found was that sometimes when you answered a question, it would tell you what the right answer was, right? And the problem is that allows you to brute force the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, we might want to change that behavior based on feedback and based on lots of other factors, right? So I wanted to make that a configuration option, and hence that's why we have a global configuration. And the global configuration here, the only one we have, is will you display correct answers or not? And another one I can think of, Sally, is how you enable the fast answer, right?
Yeah.
So we could add that into this as well, right? Do you want to enable? So let's add that now, right?
Yeah.
Add a global configuration that allows you to automatically pass correct.
What is your client for this, like HTTP client for this? What did you imagine to use?
So I'm gonna let keep when you say HTTP, you mean from
like Postman or simple curls? Or like
so Postman's my go-to. But there's also the other one I started experimenting with, which is the son of Postman. I shouldn't call it that, but it's the not the fork, but it's the version of, you know what I'm talking about, right? What's it called?
Yeah.
What's it called? The name escapes me now. But it's basically I think one of the community effectively decided that they weren't going to carry on with Post, and they're going to create their own version of it. But I can't remember. If you can remember the name of the tool.
I'm just checking now.
Yeah. But I am a big I'm a big also believer in using curl, because it's like the lowest common denominator, right? And if you're doing testing, right, if you're doing automated testing.
By the way, I was using Bruno. Do you mean Bruno?
Bruno, that's it. Bruno, that's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Bruno is the one. So that Bruno is the simple core features, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's open source as well. So.
And it's open source, which is always good, right?
Yeah.
So we could use those, but those are good in the developer flow. But then when you move to testing, you really want to kind of cover both, right? You want to cover the fact you can test from the CLI as well.
Yeah.
So add a global configuration that allows you to automatically pass correct any questions. We will use this during development debugging. Right. Okay. Right. So technical features, right? So provide simple REST APIs for interaction. Provide a simple Bootstrap UI. Use Strands Agent MCP server to help build this using Strands Agent framework. So why this? Well, because we want to use agentic AI to help with the answering of the general knowledge questions, right?
Yeah.
So not the coding questions and not the multiple choice. We don't need it for both of those, but for the general knowledge to make it kind of like work more effectively, we want to use genetic AI. And if we're building generative AI applications, then the Strands Agent framework really makes it so easy, right? That it's a no-brainer.
Question for you. For the REST APIs, when you say REST API, does it automatically understand which type of HTTP request that it should handle for operations? Like to create something, it creates a post endpoint.
So Flask handles all that. So Flask allows you to configure effectively the route and the HTTP verbs that you use. So is it post? Is it get? Is it both? Do you want to change functionality based when it's post or a get or something else? If you're doing a head or a delete or a put. So that's all handled by Flask.
Okay.
Again, another reason why I like using it, because it does everything all together and makes it really easy to see what the code is doing.
But AI automatically defers to it, right? So it understands when it creates them. Okay, cool. Nice.
So we want to provide a local development setup as well as designing for production. So the here basically is that when what I find when Kiro and other AI coding tools generate code, it's all good, but they'll provide one version of it. So what I now try and do is I try and make it think about local development as well as the endpoint, right? So you can factor both in. And then finally, because we're creating APIs, use Swagger to document it, right? And also to provide a UI as well, right? So normally, although I don't specify that here, right? Normally what will happen is it will provide the /API/docs and allow you then to implement that. Actually, one thing I haven't done here, I haven't specified here, is provide API keys to do that. So I haven't specified it here. Normally, so here's the thing, right? So we've created the front end in React, okay?
Yeah.
So when you're integrating with backend APIs, how do you make sure that there's no only authorized requests are coming in, right? To downstream APIs. What mechanisms do you typically use? Are you using JWT tokens to authorize that? Because we're not authenticating users, are we?
No, we are not.
So
I think the JWT is the way to go.
Right.
Like for frontend, generally, how the identity, like it's like basically you go to a new country and you go to the border, and every border has their own way of visa processes, right? And I see it that way as well for front end and back end. Front end just follows the visa process, but the decider is the back end. Generally, the easier way or de facto way to go is like, of course, like JWT tokens, or like if there's an API key that is used according to whatever it's done. But like JWT token through the refresh token and so on is the way to go generally.
So how would you do that in the case where we're not getting users to authenticate? So are we going to basically need to create some credentials for the application? And then
I think per event we will create credentials.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So so when we define an event, we will then need to. So I'm trying to think how do we do the authentication on the front end? How does that work?
I mean, it will be like from the admin. Like that's a great question.
So we don't have to have the answer now, but I'm thinking we've got this front end. It boots up. We access the URL on the laptop, okay, and we get the beautiful front end which we've already seen, okay, in episodes 2 to 7, and the player clicks on the new game, right? In fact, actually, even before that, right? Even before that, the application code is going to be getting APIs to get the leaderboard data, right? To display the leaderboard, right? It's going to be accessing the data store to capture the welcome info, right? Because that's going to be custom for every event. So those requests, right? Those don't, because they're get only requests, they're not put requests or post requests. They're not sensitive, right? We can leave those open, right? There's no harm in being in those APIs being left unauthenticated, right? We don't need anything for that. What we need to be wary of is any put post API requests, right? Those are the ones that we have to figure out. Okay, how do we make sure that this is a valid request?
How someone is not going to the other games as well. I think the best case is like having a login page for.
We don't want a login page, do we? We don't want a login page.
No, what I mean is like.
Or maybe we do. Maybe we have to. I mean, I think so. This is the question, right? So this is the question. It's very easy to create and vibe code this in isolation, right? It's when you it's when you start building the two together. Because when I built the question engine, like I said, when I was vibe coding it and going down those rabbit holes, I was just providing simple APIs, and the APIs would work for anyone, right? There was no authentication layer, which means that you can imagine someone's playing the game and they basically go, because they've got Kiro on the laptop, they can literally go out, view and start building their own APIs, right? They can view the source code, right? Or view page source, right? Even if we obfuscate it, right? They can use these tools to quickly understand what the APIs they need to do, and then manufacture, or brute force something, right? So I think we just need to figure that out, or maybe actually we don't have to worry about that.
I see it as a multi-tenant authentication or authorization approach. What I mean is, like, imagine that we create a hosting mechanism with like subdomains to say, for example, DevOpsPoland.KiroChallenge.aws.dev or something. And for that address, we need to log in once and keep the login credentials and so we don't need to do it again, but we have to log in once. This means that the event authorization or event setup has started. And that is our start of creating tokens and moving forward. I don't want people to try out, for example, Uredev and like actually reach out to it immediately,
Yeah, but if we do that, if we have one login per event like that, then because every machine is going to be logged in for the whole day, then effectively all we've done is provided a set of credentials for everyone to access the system, right?
No, it is going to be part of the setup process. It's like one login per device through the day.
Yeah.
But
that device then can still do for the whole day, right? It's just one set of credentials.
But
I think I'm not worried about what happens after the event. What I'm worried about, although that is a factor, right? Definitely. But I am worried. I'm more worried about people hacking during the day, the front end, to basically see if they can, change. So I think we need to factor in anti-cheat mechanisms.
Yeah. So let's think it like this. Like when I say login, I don't mean login per user or per demo, like per player. I mean login as, it's basically like, imagine there's a chest and there are hundreds of things that hundreds of people can take out of. To open a chest, you need a key, and I'm the key master. I open it, open the key, open the chest. Anyone can get in because I allow people to get in. And when the time comes, I will just close it off and leave. So anyone who can see the chest, they are able to do whatever they want with it. And the anti-cheating mechanism after the token is done is basically around the people who are doing the quest at the table, right? And for these people, the cheating prevention is either going to happen with the game engine that we talked about, or simply manual checks that we have around them, I guess.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, we don't have to engineer a solution. We can maybe see if what Kira comes up with, but maybe on what you just said, what we could do is every time a player plays, right, an event is created that generates an email just to basically the game admins, and the player has to enter that code to begin the game. But we give them the code there and then, right? So effectively, it's like MFA, but we give them the code to start. The challenge with that is it means someone's got to be there, right, to give them the codes.
No, we are not going to give anybody code. I think what I'm trying to say is, let me tell you step by step what I imagine the situation be. The goal is we want the information or the backend to be accessible only through the authorized devices. So what I have in mind is, I go to the event, I see 4 laptops. I open up the project. Let's call the event as great event that KiraQuest.aws.dev. I go in.
I think we need to draw this, Sally. We need to draw this. We need to draw
do you
this.
want me to draw it, or
no?
No.
We've seen your hexagons.
Yeah. So
okay, right. So basically, this is the game player, right? The game player.
Yeah.
And they're basically they're accessing a device. They're accessing the game.
But at this point, I already saw the solution. So
okay,
and let's imagine a facilitator. Okay, not a player, facilitator.
Okay.
And the facilitator in the morning, they will open up the laptops, and they will log in. This would mean that for these 4 laptops that facilitator logged in, they can access to the backend, because the login is known only by the facilitator. It has been done before the event started, and these laptops are allowed to check the data.
So effectively, they log in. They log in at the start of the event, and they use a secret effectively.
Yeah, and then the token mechanism starts. When the token is done, there's already a refresh token, so they can refresh it. And the automated refresh mechanism is there as well. So only one login by the facilitator is enough. Until
and effectively, we're timing this out for 24 hours, then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So effectively, the facilitator at an event will basically, at every laptop, they'll go to the URL, they'll log in, there'll be a login screen to generate the token. Until they get the generated token, effectively the token from the front end won't go to, basically there'll be no, this is where the JWT token will be.
Yeah.
Okay. And that won't exist until the person logs in.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the facilitator logs in, not player.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming if the player accidentally kills the browser session.
If they kill the browser session, the web page will come back because it is still logged in. We will keep the login. We are not doing it per browser tab. If they open a new tab and write again, they will see the game again as well, a fresh one as well.
So if we reboot the laptop because it hangs, it will survive that process.
Yeah, it's the keep me logged in mechanism.
Okay, cool. Right. So effectively, the front end screen here with the various panels, the game is in progress, and effectively this has basically been signed in. It's generating the JWT key, and then effectively this is now where all the APIs are basically being accessed, and the front end, the React front end is able to get basically post and get.
Yeah.
Because it's got the WJT. So what we have to do is basically implement something on the back end, right? So that it expects this JWT token, right? Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
So typically when you're with the React application that we've built already, how do we do that? With Cognito?
I mean, the token mechanism, we can even build it ourselves with Python, with Flask. Like, we don't even have to use Cognito whatsoever.
Okay, so to describe this, what we're saying is that the front end will authenticate through long-lived persistent JWT tokens to the back end.
Yeah. By the way, like, it doesn't even have to be long-lived, but like, for the sake of keeping things running, we can do it long-lived. Tokens are like 86,000, 86,400. You know, like.
Okay, so that's good. So that means we're getting there. Okay, so that's good.
Yeah,
we're making some progress on that. So let's go back to then. So we need to add a few things to the technical thing now, which basically is effectively use JWT JWT token. Tokens to validate, authorize. Yes. Front end to back end API requests. JWT tokens should be generated once a day using a simple mechanism and be long-lived, 24 hours, and auto refresh. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Right. Okay. So I think the only other thing I was thinking is maybe implement anti-cheating mechanisms so that bad actors cannot bypass.
I'm glad that you didn't say bad people.
Bad people.
Yeah.
Cannot bypass the React front end.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see. We'll be interested to see what it comes up with from that point of view. So the questions we can change it, because some of these questions, again, like I said, I've been building this, and obviously, we don't need to worry about specific questions because we'll add those questions ourselves. But basically, it's like the questions will be sequentially numbered. Questions categorized as easy, moderate, hard. Each question will provide some text that explains the question that needs an answer. Structure and evaluation for each question category is provided below. So again, below then we've actually specified how the questions are going to be provided, right? So we've got general knowledge questions. So general knowledge questions will present a question with an open text field to supply an answer, and general knowledge questions will provide a hint that to help the player with a clue, right, defining the system. And then the evaluation is effectively general knowledge questions will be evaluated by the LLM. Questions will take a player input together with the expected answers, and then the LLM will evaluate the answer. And then here, basically, I say what the rule is, okay, for a right or wrong answer, because we know that LLMs are going to subjectively review those.
Yeah.
Now, what actually, I thought I had it in here. Well, I'm gonna have to basically change this, right? So let's have a look. Do not penalize for short answers. So do not penalize the evaluation for short answers. So because basically when I tested this out, okay, it would only evaluate as an accept this criteria if you provided. I think I told you this to say. I gave a sample question. It's like, explain what agent hooks are, right? And I copied it from the website, and it answered correctly. But then I just basically put agent IDE automation, which is technically correct, right?
Yeah.
But very, very brief, and it would always flag it as wrong until I added to the system prompt, do not penalize evaluation for short answers, right? And once I put that in effectively into the system prompt, then effectively, even if I put short, like 2 or 3 word answers, it would still pass, right?
Nice.
So that's good. So that's general knowledge. So for multiple choice, that's the easiest one, right? We want four potential answers. Provide a hint by removing one of the incorrect answers, and
we
then
even have everything in place besides the text, you know.
And then we got the logic and questions, the coding quiz, right? So coding questions will be programming language related. The coding question, the player will be asked to provide a code that returns the answer in the format of result equals. In coding questions, each coding question will have a hint, which shows the example input and expected output that the code will provide. Coding questions, when the player submits the answer, the evaluator will use the hint input output and then the hidden input output to evaluate the answer is correct, right? In the system, questions will be stored in the following format, which we've already captured in the data format, so I don't even need to do that. But actually, I'll just look. Question difficulty. Question. So actually, I'm going to do basically, I'm going to get rid of that. The system questions will be stored. Will be example. I don't need that one. So an example question. So question 1, difficult, easy, coding question, hidden input, etc. So that I've taken from the Amazon Q coding challenge we had last year.
Yeah.
Now the evaluation thing is probably the kind of the one of the more important things actually. It's, when a player submits an answer, the system will evaluate this in a sandboxed environment. The sandbox environment should use Amazon Bedrock core runtime for sandbox stage. Now, so when I did this, it worked beautifully, right? It worked really well when I was doing my vibe coding thing. But what I didn't realize is that this only works for Python and TypeScript. Actually, JavaScript, not TypeScript. It does not work for TypeScript and it does not work for Java, right?
You know what I see? There's a hatred through strongly typed languages.
Yes, exactly. But I think so. Actually, I dove into this, right, and I spoke to some of our colleagues like Dennis. Thank you, Dennis, if you're watching. And I dug deep into it, and I think when you understand the typical use cases for Agent Core Runtime, it kind of makes sense, right? And it's typically for folks who are writing and building kind of like agentic AI code, which tends to be in Python, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why, right?
Yeah.
But we still need the solution for this, right? So I'm kind of tempted. Initially, I'm going to leave this in, right? But we will need another solution, right? And that other solution is most likely going to be a container, a container runtime. And I've already created a version of this, so I do know it works. But it's something that we need to think about, right? And then effectively, the sandbox environment will not provide any external network connectivity. The sandbox environment will run using a standard user account and will not allow privilege escalation and optimize evaluation performance. Obviously, because we want this to be really, really quick, right? So we put basically the data model on the document because we've already created the data model, and then MCP services. So the two MCP servers that I want it to use is effectively the Strands Agent one and the Bedrock. Now we could, configure them here. When I was doing this was pre skills. Sorry, powers, not skills, powers. So
it can be skills as well, both supported now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So so maybe there's a better way of doing this. So what we'll do is we'll actually configure this in here. Actually, I think that's probably going to be the better way of doing it. So let's configure. Let's have a look. I want the workspace one, and that should configure that. And I'll get rid of that section there. So this is our prompt. This is our vibe prompt for the back end. But what all this is going to do is it's going to create the game engine, right? And it's going to create the admin interface and all the APIs we're going to need. It doesn't have anything about the leaderboard in it though, right? But we'll add those afterwards. So we've got our IMCP servers. Let's all enabled, enable all tools. Don't look, but I'm doing that. So now I'm going to basically put this prompt into here. Now, there are different ways you could do this. I'm just copying and pasting, but what you could do is I could say this as a saved prompt, and we've got support for that.
Yeah.
Oops, in the actual key right here. So
Is it work in the IDE? Does it work in IDE?
Thought it. Oh, you know what? Maybe it doesn't actually. I think you're right. Actually, I think I'm thinking of CLI. So I think you're right. This is something you can't do. I think. Sorry, it works on VS Code. It doesn't work on Kiro.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the difference. In VS Code, you can record prompts that way, but you can't do that here. So anyway, we're good to go. Let's hit return. I'm using Opus because you've convinced me, Sally. And it's now going to start writing some code. It's using our standards documents. It's reading our data model documents. It's actually reading the prompt as well. Okay, well, that's good. It doesn't need to, but there you go. There you go. And it's now looking at, it's looking at some additional. Oh, no, it's actually looking at the strands. I thought I trusted it already, so obviously not. Okay, so now it's actually going to start building the back end, right? And now we can relax. We can enjoy ourselves. We can talk as we kind of like watch it do its stuff. But we can see now it's already come up with the structure, which is kind of what I expect. It's using UV because again, it's in the in my project standards. You can see it's using Bootstrap potentially, although it's not clear from here. But it's using Ginger templates, separating all the different aspects of it. Yeah. So now normally this takes around 5 to 10 minutes to create, but we will get something that is going to be something we can sort of test out. So let me make that a bit bigger so we can see on the screen there. So yeah, so just to recap what we've done effectively, Sally and me, we've just gone through the data model as a starting point. So this is the data model. We've asked Kiro to create or take that from a visual form into a markdown document, which we've got here. And we're using that as effectively the structure for our prompt. And following good prompt practices, what we've done is we've built and refined this over time. As Sally's been building the front end, I've been adding and removing questions based on how that's evolved, how that's changed. And we're now submitting that prompt, and with the help of Opus, we are now
our favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I'm still a big auto believer. Yeah, I'm still a big auto believer, but and obviously
it's more economic and more conscious as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what would have been really interesting actually, Sally, is if we had tried to get Kiro CLI to do this with some of the new models, right? That are in there. Although I don't have a social login for that, so I wouldn't have been able to use them. So
yeah, I use IDP as well. I have a social login, but I use IDP for pro stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, so hopefully what we'll get. So the output of this is we're going to get effectively a UI, effectively the game engine UI that's going to allow us to effectively create questions, add questions, create all the constructs, and provide all the APIs. That would allow us to basically add, remove, edit questions, but also test them out, right? And it should provide APIs, and it's those APIs that we can then document, and we can ask Kiro, say, look, show us how you would integrate a Bootstrap application. Show us the APIs you would use to view a question. How do you expect it to submit an answer? All that kind of stuff, and then we could try, sort of like melding the two together. Because in theory, Sally, right? I could deploy this somewhere. You could deploy the front end somewhere, and they should be able to work right together.
I really hope that. I really hope that when we have the Swagger file in place,
exactly.
Drop it and let it.
But let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you would kind of bring the front end and back end together, because Kiro does have this feature, right, which is basically file, add folder to workspace, right? Now my understanding, okay, is if I was to somehow get your directory, okay, and have it on my system in a completely separate root folder, right? I could bring that separate folder, okay, into this workspace, and it would read all the .hero steering files you've got in yours. But I would be able to treat it as effectively part of the same project. But I've never used it. I've never used this feature.
Same. I didn't even know it existed, if I'm being honest.
It's all right. It's okay. This is what I'm here for,
Yeah.
Salik. So that
Only-
feature is supposed to be,
Yeah.
I mean, actually, the use case I can think of it is actually when you want to bring in front end and back end together, right? Or you know, when you've got like, you know, a whole bunch of microservices, right? And you want to basically bring them all together into one repo. So I could see that as being something we could try doing. The other thing, the way that I typically do this, right, is I just containerize it, right? Containerize it so that basically you can run it through a container. That way, I can just ship you the image, or you can try the image. You can run the APIs locally, and then you'll have access to the APIs via your front end, right?
Yeah.
So that's the other I mean, I don't know if that's the best way, but that's the way that makes it for me more portable, right? Create the Docker file, create the image, I'll push it up to Amazon ECR. You then basically have one command, right?
You love your containers, right?
Well, I mean, I do, you know, years and years ago. So this is back, so I can't, so it's 2013. So so to put it in context, Docker as a company had just been formed, right?
Yeah.
It was 0.13 of the product. And I did so I was running innovation at my previous organization. And I did a presentation, and it was called The End of Virtualization, right? And it was called Containers. And my basic presentation just walked you and introduced you through what containerization was, the problems it was solving, the big idea, right? But it wasn't like, so it wasn't a lot of the features that we take for granted today, they weren't there, right? So service discovery, right, was just non-existent. You had to hard code everything using things like HA proxy and console. So okay, UV sync is uploading the packages. So yeah, so those days, those were the kind of the old days, and I've loved containers ever since, man.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
For me, that is one of those things that I just follow along, but I try to not understand, you know.
I think it's quite a basic. I mean, I think I do know what you mean. There's this thing about just wanting to actually physically touch the things, right? But this is why dev containers is such a cool thing. So dev containers just is just, I think, a beauty, right? You mount the container within your ID. So sadly, at the moment, that means VS Code. So I still use VS Code purely for dev containers, right? You can't really run them. Oh, okay.
Anything outside.
Yeah. Okay, it's doing that. So Ricardo. Okay, so. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't want to. Okay, fine. That's that. I think I've messed up on that prompt. Okay, I didn't initialize Git, so that's why it's doing that. Okay.
Yeah, but I think in the prompt it says if it doesn't exist, initialize it as well.
Yeah, I should have just done that. I completely forgot to do it.
But like it does it for the backend only, so you can just remove it as well.
Okay, so let's clear some of this stuff out. I think I've overwritten. Oh no, I've overwritten. No, okay, it has actually.
It is splitting these into meaningful commits now. Since
Okay, so let's have a look at the README then. What's it created? So quick start. A backend question bank system providing REST APIs for quiz games with 3 question types: multiple choice, general knowledge, and coding. That's a good start. It's kind of what we wanted.
Yeah.
It's using UV, which is good because that's what we wanted it to. And we've got Swagger docs, and we've got an API which we'll be able to access once we've started it. It uses Unicorn to start it, which is beautiful, which is what I wanted, as well as the local development setup. And we've got environment variables to configure AWS credentials. So that's a good question, actually. So where is my, where is it? Where's it gone? environments on it. So basically, here we go. Oh, now I don't like this. I don't like this. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to basically change. I'm going to get a prompt to change that.
Why you don't like this? The environment variables.
I just think it's bad practice, right? To store credentials in configuration files.
But like this is like this is an example, right? And generally, when you create, you copy this and you git ignore this. So it
Yeah,
is
but
not
there's
stored.
always a case, right? When and also look, the Bedrock model here is, so it's US. So I need to. There's a few things we need to change, right?
Yeah.
I should have changed. So going back to the prompts, right, and how we iterate, right? So what did I miss? I missed some technical features, right? And make sure you use EU West 1 AWS region.
So you are not doing US East 1.
Yeah,
you are doing
compatible. No, available, not compatible. Available. Amazon Bedrock models, and finally, never, ever, ever, ever store AWS credentials in .env files. Okay, I think it's quite clear now on that. So it's still doing stuff though. It's running smoke tests and it's doing all sorts of things. So, and this is something I've not seen before actually. So this must be Opus. Opus is doing things.
Exactly.
Opus is, and it's actually it's using the API as well. So it's actually which is good because this means that we've got it's creating some test harnessing to actually validate that the APIs seem to be doing stuff. The bank 409 is just because the DB persisted from earlier timed out. Let me fix the JWT. Oh, okay. Look, it's implementing the JWT key length warning by updating the default secret. So that should be in the M file, right? So the key. Yeah. So this is what I'm assuming is going to be the seed for the JWT token. I'm assuming.
Change me to real true. I think so. Yeah.
Okay, right. So let's have a look. So it's going to delete that. Oh God, it's the Git. I'm going to remove that from. I do like the fact it's. I think I was experimenting with it. That's what it was. Sally, I was experimenting with it, and I just wanted to see, how it would actually work.
Look, man, I'm telling you, commits are for free. Okay, and you don't pay anything to them. It's okay.
You say, okay, but are they for free though? So we talk. When you used it last time, okay, we realized that we couldn't use the checkpoints and restore points, right? Because you had to unentangle all your Git history. Although we could have just basically discarded. We could have gone up, right? So maybe not a big deal, right?
I mean, you can always squash.
Yeah. So I'm going to basically I'm going to just make. Okay, so effectively, all right. Let's do this. Let's put these three things here, and make a few changes to the things. See what it does. Good call.
Yeah,
I do like that. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
how silly of me. Yeah. Actually, so one of the things that I did frustrate me, but it's definitely got a lot better, is being able to find which models are available. It's gonna be interesting to see if that actually is the right page. So let's open it up.
Yeah, there was a problem with myself.
And that is the right page. So you can't see that on the screen. But I've just clicked on that link, opened it, and it is correct. It is the correct page. So that's good. And that's
it changed. It changed. We know that it changed, unfortunately. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So here we go. Is that right? That looks like it might be right.
Yeah.
But it's only using Sonnet 4. We've got rid of credentials. Yes.
Okay.
Use CLI profiles, IAM roles, which is basically okay. So that's good. Right. Which actually reminds me, I should actually kind of log in. I didn't log into my AWS environment. So I'm going to have to log into this now. But don't worry, you can't see. I don't think you can see. Can you?
Maybe I can. No, I don't.
But even if you could, I'm using MFA. So again, folks, I use an open source tool called Leap to manage my AWS credentials. I need my phone now for my credentials. Right. Okay. That's the only thing that I do. It is a pain. I haven't configured my YubiKey for this one, but I should.
What is this tool called again?
Sorry?
What is
Oh,
this
it's called
tool
Leap.
called?
LEAPP.
Okay, Leap. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good actually. I've got to say. So 894. I'm not going to say that out loud. Hopefully that works. Is that working? Come on. Yes, it worked. Okay, so I'm gonna and what this tool does, right, is that you configure your AWS credentials, and then basically it kind of like overwrites them, right, and it overwrites them with temporary credentials, so role-based credentials. So they time out after 60 minutes, and it's constantly rotating them for you on your behalf, which means that I can actually access AWS thick stuff. So S3, let's see, that should work. See, I can see I can access my AWS resources, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if this works before I share it. CD AWS credentials. Yeah, and it creates effectively a session token. So effectively, I now don't have to think about accessing, or rotating my secrets, right? If someone grabs my session token, it's only valid for the next 60 minutes. So that tool makes it really easy to use. Actually, I'm gonna show you what it is actually. So let me.
This is a nice tool. I just opened it up.
You just open it up. Yeah. So actually, I'm gonna just move that. Stop sharing, and I'm going to share my entire screen. Share my entire screen so people can see this. So this is what the tool looks like, and effectively you have your integrations. So this is my personal AWS account. This is my work AWS account, and you log in. And once you log in, you get your different accounts you have, and then basically you can start them, and it also allows you to open up the web console as well in its own, again, temporary credentials, right? So it's really nice. It just makes it so much easier. And if you want to change the profile details or the region you start into, it does it for you automatically. So it's unfortunately, the only thing about this project now is it's stopped, that it's no longer been in active development. So I'm kind of waiting for the next version of it, right? So as in like what comes next. But at minimum, though, developers should be using the improved AWS login. So configure IDC, takes 2 seconds, and then use AWS login to do your SSO sessions, and it does that all for you automatically, right? So
yeah, I mean, it looks like it is for free and open source. And
yes, exactly.
I love open source, like free open source software as well. Like it's incredible.
So let's try this. Let's see if it works now. Okay, let's have a run. Python. Let's see if it works. So we've got a web browser. Okay, now I'm going to have to open up the browser and then share that one. So let's have a look. 127. Okay, stop sharing and share a different thing. Share screen and share a window and share this. And we can see that we've got our question bank, right? Yeah. So we've got configuration.
Yeah.
So here we can see show correct answers on wrong and auto pass all questions. So we can turn those on and off.
Yeah.
We've got some test questions. Oh, no, we haven't.
No. I was like,
we've got question banks. No question banks created yet. We've got API examples. So we've got good API examples. Your current token is here. So again, we've got a post. So the idea is that we should be able to then list questions, create a general knowledge question. What we actually want to do is submit an answer, get a hint. So again, we've got all of this there. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, and we can basically see if we can see the API docs. What? Oh, okay. Maybe I've got the URL wrong. So let's have a look. Oh no, it's actually they've done it weird. It's API. docs.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So again, we can authorize with our bearer key there, which we got from the
Yeah.
previous screen.
Yeah.
Authentication, question banks, questions,
Nice.
and configuration. So that
Nice.
looks that looks. So we're getting there.
Yeah.
But what it doesn't have is
Questions.
it doesn't allow us to test the questions.
Yeah.
So I asked it to actually provide a UI to allow. So let's actually create a new bank. We're going to call this. Oh, it says Python. Okay, let's call this TypeScript.
Yeah, I think the categories are the banks for this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then questions. Select a bank. TypeScript, and we can import and export questions as well, which is good.
Yeah.
So theory. Let's do a general knowledge, easy. Actually, I tell you what. Let's get for this. Let's do a different bank. Let's do add new bank, and let's call it AWS. Oh, actually, that's a good point. Actually, I've just realised we have a limitation in defining questions like this, because we want to have a mixture of questions, right? Not just okay. So
that is why, like I said, like when you generate questions, do you envision like bringing three banks and generate randomly from that?
So I think the questions should be. So do we have to sign? Yeah, you sign a question to. Oh no! So the question can be assigned to a bank. The questions exist. Okay, that's all right then. So let's call general knowledge. So question explain what agent hooks are in the Hero ID tool. So we can get from the website, we can actually get the official answer. And the good thing about this is we can actually get the full action hooks basically. Okay, let's get this. So this is the official answer.
Yeah.
And then basically
check the website
for info and save that.
Yeah.
There's no way of testing it though. We can't test. But now we can assign questions to it. So let's do edit. Nope. How do we assign a question to a question bank? Oh, okay. So it's actually
it's already assigned.
It's already assigned into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not. So we need to change that. So let's create Java. So there's one question in there. So let's have a look. Question. The UI is not the best, is it? Because it's hard.
It serves a purpose. It looks
select the bank. So that's why basically you do it that way.
Yeah. It looks like very bootstrap, you know.
Yeah. Oh, don't knock my friend Bootstrap. We go back a long way. Oh, it's actually exported. It's exported the questions as
okay
as JSON, which is unusual. Okay. But it's not displaying it. So
were you expecting a CSV or something like that?
Yeah, I think I was kind of like expecting it was going to be CSV. So let's see if we can open.
Yeah. Here's what I would say though. Let's slowly take a break, because like I think we did a good progress today. And
I think it's time to wrap up. It is time to wrap up. Yes, absolutely.
And we did we will be back on Thursday as well, hopefully.
Yeah, we're back Thursday same time. And so just to
so we can wrap up.
Yeah. So effectively, what we've done today is we've started basically building out the back end, right? From building from the data model, and then from that creating a detailed prompt, which we've used and crafted over the last 7 episodes to creating this first version of the game engine. One of the challenge, because we're vibe coding this, we've done it over the last hour. I think, Sally, my instinct tells me that to basically throw all this work away, right, and we need to spend some more cycles on the data model, right, and figuring out how that works. So when we start Thursday, we'll come back, we'll go back to the data model, we'll share off our learnings, and finding. And then we'll basically we'll go straight into the prompt, and that way we should be able to be where we are here much more quickly.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Sounds exciting. Because I think the backend will be shorter.
Yeah,
I don't
totally.
know what should I think about
No,
it
no,
if it's like
absolutely. I
my
think
if
it's
it's
definitely going to be
my
shorter.
if it's my lack of capabilities, and like after the backend is in place, then
Yeah.
basically like seriously I don't have any plan but just get the Swagger definitions, drop it into the JSON after we deploy the backend and tell it like the right connections for this.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing, is that once we've got that JSON and we've tested it and make sure it works, it should make getting Kiro to effectively integrate those APIs into the front end should make that a lot easier, right?
100%. 100%.
Yeah, cool. In which case then, folks, thanks for joining, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Bye.